A truly encouraging sign is the emergence of many counter-economic entrepreneurs in the Southern California area, and a few scattered around North America and even Europe, who embrace and distribute New Libertarian Manifesto. An agorist industrial park has been condensing quietly in Orange County between these two editions. This gratification is not idly enjoyed. It has inspired the author to continue the dialogue in two issues of a theoretical journal based on New Libertarian Manifesto, the writing of counter-economics, see footnote 26, and the planning of a theoretical magnum opus, as Das Kapital was to the Communist Manifesto, undoubtedly to be titled Agorism. As for continuing to practice what I preach and expanding on the practice, I may add to the end of the first preface, and I'm still doing it. Samuel Edward Conkin III, February 1983. Preface to the fourth edition. Samuel Edward Conkin III had suggested that, instead of updating the manifesto with new notes, we simply publish it as is, as an historical piece of living theory that continues to grow to this day. The only changes have been the correction of some persistent typos and minor changes for the sake of clarity made by the editor. Mr. Conkin joined the great anarchist horde in the sky on February 23, 2004, after a too short lifetime of theoretical and practical experiments, traveling the world to bring the concept of agorism and new libertarianism to eager listeners. 25 years after its publication, the manifesto is still a brisk seller. This on-demand edition, available worldwide, should continue the trend. With the collapse of collectivism sweeping the world, a collapse brought about by the economic and moral consequences of such systems, Mr. Conkin's analyses are all the more impressive for their accuracy. If anything, New Libertarian Manifesto is more current now than ever. Statism choked and died in the USSR. The UN as proto-world state is collapsing into toothless, impotent irrelevance. Will inhabitants of the world continue the trend, or do we need the frontier of space to achieve the next evolutionary step in human action? The movement of the libertarian left can be contacted at agorism.info, and all back issues of New Libertarian publications are available from CoPubCo at copubco.com. Victor Coleman, publisher, March 2006. Chapter 1. Statism, our condition. We are coerced by our fellow human beings. Since they have the ability to choose to do otherwise, our condition need not be this. Coercion is immoral, inefficient, and unnecessary for human life and fulfillment. Those who wish to be supine as their neighbors prey on them are free so to choose. This manifesto is for those who choose otherwise, to fight back. To combat coercion, one must understand it. More important, one must understand what one is fighting for as much as what one is fighting against. Blind reaction goes in all directions negative to the source of oppression and disperses opportunity. Pursuit of a common goal focuses the opponents and allows formation of coherent strategy and tactics. Diffuse coercion is optimally handled by local immediate self-defense. Though the market may develop larger scale businesses for protection and restoration, random threats of violence can only be dealt with on the spot, ad hoc. I am indebted to Robert Lefebvre for this insight, though we draw differing conclusions. Organized coercion requires organized opposition. An excellent case has been made many times by many thinkers that such organization should remain skeletal at best, fleshing out only for actual confrontation in order to prevent perversion of the defenders into an agency of aggression. Institutional coercion, developed over the millennia with roots of mysticism and delusion planted deep in the victim's thinking, requires a grand strategy and a cataclysmic point of historical singularity: revolution. Such an institution of coercion, centralizing immorality, directing theft and murder, and coordinating oppression on a scale inconceivable by random criminality, exists. It is the mob of mobs, gang of gangs, conspiracy of conspiracies. It has murdered more people in a few recent years than all the deaths in history before that time. It has stolen in a few recent years more than all the wealth produced in history to that time. It has diluted, for its survival, more minds in a few recent years than all the irrationality in history to that time. Our enemy, the state. Thank you, Albert J. Nock, for that phrase. In the 20th century alone, war has murdered more than all previous deaths. Taxes and inflation have stolen more than all wealth previously produced, and the political lies, propaganda, and above all, education have twisted more minds than all the superstition prior. Yet through all the deliberate confusion and obfuscation, the thread of reason has developed fibers of resistance to be woven into the rope of execution for the state, libertarianism. Where the state divides and conquers its opposition, libertarianism unites and liberates. Where the state beclouds, libertarianism clarifies. Where the state conceals, libertarianism uncovers. Where the state pardons, libertarianism accuses. Libertarianism elaborates an entire philosophy from one simple premise. Initiatory violence or its threat, coercion, is wrong, immoral, evil, bad, supremely impractical, etc., and is forbidden. Nothing else is. Modern libertarianism is best explained by Murray Rothbard in For a New Liberty, which, regardless how recent the edition, is always a year or more out of date. Recommending even the best writing on libertarianism is like recommending one song to explain music in all its forms. Libertarianism, as developed to this point, discovered the problem and defined the solution: the state versus the market. The market is the sum of all voluntary human action. Thank you, Ludwig von Mises.